Hey, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Extra Feature Interview. Today, I have a fabulous guest who's short. He'll tell you where to find it because even I don't. He sent it to me. David Michael Maurer, short Mondo's Carousel. It's available
Mendo's
somewhere.
character. Mendo's.
Mendo's Carousel. Hey, welcome to the show. I'm trying here.
I'm good. Nice to be here. Thank you.
So, I think as a good starting off point is why this story? I mean, is it somebody telling you this story or is it original creation? I mean, it's very food for thought after watching it.
Yeah, well, originally, like a lot of filmmakers, I was like, I wanted to make something. I didn't know what I was gonna make. Um, and I started on a blank page. I knew some actors that I wanted to work together with on something, but I didn't really know what it would be. And I tried to be open. I just started writing, and a lot of it was terrible in the beginning. And then, sadly, in a very short period of time, my grandmother passed away. A year and a little bit after that, my grandfather passed away, and then right before we filmed, my uncle passed away. And
Awful.
yeah, it was a tough period of time for our whole family. And you know, one of the things that came out of that was I found myself swimming in grief, and I thought, everybody goes through this at some point. We all deal with this, and it's when you're in that state, it's really tough to deal with like getting honest, and like being in acceptance. And there's so many emotions that come with it. And I thought maybe there's something in here that people can relate to. And then the other thing that influenced it was, I recently passed the 7 year mark in terms of quitting alcohol. And
Whew.
um, and in the beginning, that was a really tough thing to go and do, and through the process of getting sober, I found myself getting honest with myself and then trying to look at places like where I fell short, take accountability for mistakes I made, and like try to make things right with other people and get honest with them. And that I found to be very powerful. And so those two things combined became the soup of a movie about honesty in the face of grief. That's where that all stemmed from.
Oh my God, that's like a heavy right off the beginning.
It's a
Wow.
hilarious
Where do
movie.
I go from there? No, I do have questions. You did mention earlier on you had actors you want to work with. So where do you know these people from?
Yeah, so I worked with Eddie Gathegi and Omar Marrero on a TV show. They're still on strike, so I'm conscious of promoting stuff. But we worked together on this TV show for a streamer years ago. And it was one of these things where we filmed in Puerto Rico, and I did 2 seasons of it. And so you're there for long periods of time. Post production, I was an editor on the show, and they were acting in it. And so we were in Puerto Rico for months, and then I got to kind of know them because it's sort of like summer camp. You're hanging out together and doing stuff on the weekends, and it was a kick. And through editing them, I got to know their professional work ethic and the way they operate. And they're so talented. And I thought if I ever get a chance to work with them, I would love to. So I knew them personally from that experience. And then Todd Grinnell, who plays the customer in the film, he's done a lot of stuff. We've never worked together, but we've known each other socially over the years. And so I rang him and I said, "Hey man, it's like a quarter page of dialogue. It's like way, this is a short film." And he read the script and he's like, "Listen, I am in. Whatever you need, I'm gonna be there for you, buddy." And all three of them just completely showed up. They don't. None of them need to be doing short films at this point in their career. And they just were there, present. Every take was a tough choice in the edit. It was awesome. So very grateful.
Okay, I want to harp on something. You said you were an editor, so you're the director, writer, and editor. How many takes are you doing? I mean, I would think you would do very little because you know exactly what you want being an editor. You can see that ahead of time. Or is it that much different being a director?
I so I this is a great debate that I always get into with my director friends about whether you do as little coverage as possible or if you cover the heck out of it. I have been on so many projects where uh, I found myself retooling, retuning story, compression, all these things through editorial that I like a lot of coverage. And I like takes and I like lots of options. So we shot like 80 setups almost like in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we shot with one camera and the actors just like were in. The thing that helped us go quickly was we shot on the Arri LF, so we had that nice big chip in the camera, but it allowed us to use zoom lenses instead of primes, and so we got this like great cinematic look to the whole thing, but we weren't stopping down to like swap lenses, and so the actors could stay in the moment, and I'd be like, "Hey, let's go in for a close up," and they would just like punch in and kind of adjust the perspective slightly. And our DP Gavord is amazing. He also worked in Puerto Rico, as did our composer Tristan Lepay, who all of us were a part of that project originally. So it was kind of like a little homecoming in that regard too. Get the band back together.
Okay. During the script, I find you introduced me to a history. You do discuss the history. You definitely present it, but you never show it.
Mhm.
So, was there a version of this that was a little bit longer that I missed? Was it edited out or was it never shot?
A little of both. There was like an early draft of the script where get to know we got to know Mendo a beat, and we got a little piece of like the history of them, and that got cut out in the process because now you're introducing like, I mean, there's also budget limitations on a short
Yes,
film,
of course.
and so it's like, oh, I don't want to hire like the 5 extra actors that are on the page right now for this little sequence,
Fair
but
enough.
also like we did shoot like plates for what would be a VFX shot of it of a like a ribbon cutting day photo of Mendo and Arthur, and in the process of cutting the movie, like there was a point in the offline edit where we had that shot kind of temp composited in, and people bumped on it because they prefer, like we were told that like when people would look at it, they'd say like, "Oh no, I prefer to like imagine this guy." And now that it's all put together, I like the idea that we never meet Mendo, that he's this ghost that's kind of haunting them, um, and sort of you know present in their lives in a way that's like hindering them from moving on.
Okay,
But
I
we
want to
never
go.
see him.
No, we don't. I want to go back to the beginning of the short for something you said yourself with your battle.
Sure.
Did that help you write the beginning scene for this short?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I've the film opens with her being super tipsy, and I never burglarized anything, but I have certainly
Well, I think you would know how to present yourself, is what I'm
yeah.
trying to say.
But I certainly have felt the intoxication, and I felt the loss. And uh the notion that the the notion that it's like it's very, in terms of editing and the cinematography and everything, we wanted things to be like disjointed and kind of like a little shaky and like very much in the her head and her point of view of this intoxicated mess, as she's going through and trying to break into the dry cleaning shop. So that was definitely something that I wanted the feeling of put in, and then you know, I would say like the ideas of like generational challenges with addiction is something I wanted in the script, and that sort of comes through a little bit at times because a lot of times people can look back at their history and say, "Oh, great grandma so and so had an issue with such and such," or
Hmm.
it's in our DNA a little bit. Um, and addiction takes many forms. I'm not trying to make it an addiction movie, but
No, I
it's
don't think it is at all. I just
good,
did you
good.
brought no, no, I just brought it up because of what you said earlier, so that's why it was an
Yeah,
easy
but that's
point to
in
hit
the
on.
that's in the DNA of the film a little bit. It's like,
Yes,
yeah,
I'd agree.
yeah. Um,
Sorry, people. I just want him to know that I think the film's more about redemption than anything else.
good stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
we say honesty because I don't want to spoil it, but it's also, yeah, it's definitely,
I think I can say redemption. I think I've
yeah. I
not
think
ruined
that's fair.
anything.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good. I've left that very blank,
Good, good.
which I don't want to discuss anymore. So I'm going to move on.
Thank you.
Did you add sounds to this? Like, you know what I'm talking about, the scene? It sounded like
Yeah,
sounds were added.
100%. We had a sound design team. In fact, all of our we shot in Burbank, and post production was done by this incredible team in Puerto Rico called Reactor, and they do big movies and TV shows all day long. And so we had these terrific sound designers, dialogue editors. They did everything. There's actually like visual effects all over this film that are completely invisible, that are little cosmetic adjustments and stuff are legal to like make sure phone numbers can't be identified properly, that sort of thing. Um, and they went in and the whole team just like, I feel very grateful because they are very busy all the time and they made time for us. And so yeah, there's tons of sound design kind of moving through. And in 5-1, it's actually kind of a fun experience if you ever get to see it off a DCP in a movie theater.
Okay, color corrections. I have noticed there were many in this film.
Yeah, there's color grading all over. Yeah, it's I mean, the nice thing is we are in one location, and um the chip is consistent when you shoot with one camera, and we have one DP doing the magic on that. But Reactor went in and gave it a look. There is like nighttime, daytime, and the movie we did try to warm it up as it starts very cold and kind of as
Oh,
it evolves.
100% it's
Yeah.
cold.
So,
This the I hate the item that is approached by the lead actor at the
uh,
beginning. I almost said it what it was, but I don't want to say it. Is it borrowed or purchased?
oh, it is left by her father.
Yeah, I realized that. I bet you personally. Was it at the location or did you add it to the location?
The item that he points out.
The I really don't want to say the word. It involves the turning of something. I'll leave it at that.
The actual the dry cleaning equipment kind of stuff.
No, I'm going to get to the dry cleaner. Oh my! You really don't want me to say this. The woman is going in at the beginning of the film. She knows what
Yes,
she needs to get to. She gets there.
yes.
That item is what I want to talk about.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Does that make more sense?
that was purchased.
Okay, that's what I wanted to
Yeah,
know.
yeah, because
Sorry,
we
people. I don't want to ruin this movie, so I'm trying very hard to dance around it.
I appreciate it. You're protecting us.
I think it's
And
important.
the audience, yes.
Okay, the dry cleaners. How did you get that? Was that a friend of yours? Did you rent it out?
Yeah, we rented it. Actually finding the location for a dry cleaner is very difficult. And also not just like finding a dry cleaner, because there's dry cleaners all over. But finding the right dry cleaner that could accommodate the story, because there are different spaces in the script. We found we scouted for a long time. We found like a very small one. It was like a 900 square feet little one at one point, and they were open to us filming, but it was too small. It's not conducive to production. We found a bunch of other places. They weren't going to work. A friend of mine is a location scout, so he's always out and about, and he was like texting, I call these people, and we were just trying. And it was down to the wire. We weren't really finding a place that would fit. We even looked at standing sets, where
Oh,
we were like, maybe we could, maybe they were just like, maybe there wasn't a conveyor system. Maybe it was just like clothes on hangers or and then there are also dry cleaners that unfortunately went out of business during the pandemic when we were all shut down because people weren't going out as much and getting their clothes fixed. And so there's a lot of those buildings around where it's like they have the equipment, but they're just like an empty shell of a building. We were like, could we film here? And a lot of those folks are like we're working with a buyer. We don't want people coming into our space and maybe messing up a real estate deal. So it's like, okay, got it. Um, and so luckily, I found this place and reached out and drove over. It's one of those places you drive by all the time if you live in that area, and it was perfect. It's got a double decker. It's two conveyors, so it's very large. They're film friendly. They were really kind to us. They got it. They understood our limitations, and they were willing to work with us. And they filmed other commercials and things filmed there as well. But um, and the thing about dry cleaning things in like TV shows and stuff is like no one builds that. There's not like you can't go rent the conveyor. You can't, because it's way too expensive. So a lot of times they just like go buy out a dry cleaner for a couple days and do their scenes and move on. Um, so the fact that we found this place was lucky. And the cool thing is dry cleaners close. They're shut down usually on Sundays and they close
true.
like early on Saturdays. So we were like, well, can we work around your hours? And they were just so cool. They were just like really supportive and took care of us and answered questions. We were like, what would how would the day look here? What piece of equipment might you turn on? How would you set up your opening of the shop and those kinds of things? So they were really nice.
Okay,
That's
I
the
have
long answer.
yes. Well, there you go. I have one last question about the film, and then we'll get into fun questions.
Cool.
Okay, your lead actress cries a lot.
Yeah.
How many takes did you make her cry for?
I think, I mean, I'm very protective about that because you don't want to exhaust anyone, and it takes so much to do that. The good thing, I mean, good thing about OT is like I've worked with her. I know what she's capable of. She has this like incredible deep well of emotion that she can totally tap into on a dime. And her craft is so good. And it's really like a magic thing to watch because you can be like, can you can we do tears on this one? She's like, got it. And it's just like she could be like texting and doing stuff, puts down the phone, hits her mark, tears come at the exact time that they're supposed to. It's like amazing. So we didn't do a lot of them. I think we did like two in that very close up shot that we do kind of in the middle of
Yep,
the film.
that's what I'm talking about.
And then she was willing to do like another take after that was like not all cries. It's like, hey, would you do one that's just like you don't have to cry on this one? It's cool. Um, yeah, and she's great at that. It's like she's insanely talented, and I am always mesmerized watching her work on any scene that's that heavy, because it's just amazing.
Okay, it's time for fun questions. I think I've
Excellent.
hit every point on your film. If I missed something, please tell me, but I can't think of anything on my notes. I didn't touch on music because you do have music, but it's very quiet, so I couldn't really pull anything out. So I apologize to the composer. Good work. Your favorite film?
Favorite film of all time is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the Gene Wilder version.
Oh, I don't think you would name the Johnny Depp version. I mean, it's a nice film, but it's not the other one. One film you always recommend to people that, but they haven't really heard of it.
I'm a big fan of Perks of Being a Wallflower,
Oh, that
which
didn't get. I know the film.
yeah, it's I love the direction in that film and the performances the whole thing is so intimate and when we were talking about this short, that was one of the ones that we referenced a lot to be like, this is the type of like hug I want the film to feel like. It's like very emotional.
And your last question is really easy. One person you will work with one day.
Will work with. Hmm. Is this like an imaginary, like someone I've
It,
never worked with that I'd like to, or one
yes,
person that?
correct.
Oh, interesting. That is
You're
a.
in the industry, so you have contacts. This is possible.
I know. I feel like so working with Eddie and OT and Todd. I feel really great about. That's a tough one. This is an odd one, but no, actually, who I'll say, since we were talking about Perks of Being a Wallflower, is Emma Watson.
There you go. Emma Watson.
Yeah,
There's a tough one to
she
get. She doesn't work a lot.
she does it, and she's brilliant in
She's
everything she
excellent.
does. And she's very, very selective about the roles she takes. So I respect that. I think she'd be amazing to work with.
Okay, well, now we got to ask the question I asked at the beginning. Where can people find this? I think it's probably only on the circuit, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, we're doing the rounds. It's going to Philly for First Glance Philadelphia, couple weeks. And then I think it's going to the Utah Film Market and Twin Cities Film Festival. And we just found out we're going to East Lansing in November sometime. But all this you can find at mendoscarousel.com. And you can find us on like all the social medias at Mendo's Carousel. So we're, as things progress and things get updated, we post everywhere. So we just got back from Catalina. That was pretty amazing. Highly recommend.
Thank you for your time and have a great evening.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Have a great one.